Hello everybody. In this episode we're going to be talking about how to protect your plumbing system from freezing temperatures. Now, why do you need to protect your plumbing system from the cold? Well, because if your pipes freeze, it's going to give you some problems, because one of the properties of water is as it freezes, those molecules get farther and farther apart and it actually expands. Now, we don't so much have this problem with the polyethylene tubing because it's a flexible tubing, but your older stuff, the CPVC and even the copper, if it were to freeze, it could crack. CPVC was notorious about busting in freezing temperatures. Your copper's a little bit more forgiving, but I've also seen copper bust as well. So you're gonna have to protect it from those freezing temperatures so that you don't have a break. Now, like I said, with our polyethylene here that we use nowadays, it expands. The type A PEX tubing is actually designed to expand. That's how you put these fittings together. You expand the pipe and then it gradually goes back to its original shape. So it is a property of this tubing. We haven't ever had any bust from freezing. Now, we've had some fittings pop from freezing because that's a more rigid plastic system, but I haven't seen a whole lot of that. But the one problem with the polyethylene is if you get a chunk of ice or a frozen section in your piping here, it's going to shut your water off. It's going to stop that flow. You're not going to have any water. And when you're doing new construction and stuff like that, and you've got somebody that just moved in, and they wake up one morning and they don't have water, you know, they've just bought a brand new house. So you want to keep your customers supplied with water. You don't want this stuff freezing. It could break or it could get a blockage in it from that cold. Now, of course, when it thaws out, you're going to be all right. But let's go over some of the ways to protect your pipes from freezing. There's pretty much two methods out there of protecting your plumbing system from freezing. And the first one would be insulating it. Now, you can insulate all you want, but if those temperatures drop below freezing and stay below freezing for a long period of time, all your heat eventually is going to radiate out of that insulation and your pipe's going to freeze anyway, because the insulation is just retaining the heat that was already there. It's not providing it with heat. So remember that. If the temperatures are only going to dip down below freezing for a few hours at night and then pick back up, insulating's fine. But if it's going to maintain a low temperature for a long period of time, you're going to have to come up with something else. Which brings us to our second one, which would be protecting it by heat. Now, you're not going to sit there with a hairdryer and heat it up. What you're going to do is you're going to bring those pipes to the interior heated space of your house, meaning you're going to keep it out of the attic, you're going to keep them out of crawl spaces, and you're going to keep it away from windows and doors and exterior walls. Now, you can do both. You can insulate and you can protect with heat, and that's perfectly fine as well. Just remember, that's the heated space. This is a little simulated garage that we built here in the training center to show how these heaters would set up in a garage. Now, a garage is not a heated space, so you got to remember, you're going to have to insulate this stuff. Now, a garage will protect you from some of those lower temperatures if you're only going to dip down into freezing for a couple hours and then you're going to pick back up as the sun comes up and the day warms up. That garage will hold in some of that heat and actually help insulate. But if that garage is going to be freezing for a long period of time, you're probably going to have to do something more than insulate. Put a little space heater out there or something, or they have the little electric wire that you can wrap around your pipe and plug in the wall. But that's only going to be every now and again, especially here in the South. We're not going to hit those freezing temperatures so much. But that's pretty much the two methods. You're going to insulate it or protect it with heat, or do both. There's a couple of things that you want to remember when you're installing your water lines and you're concerned about freezing conditions. Most homes nowadays in new construction are built on a slab, which is basically a concrete monolithic slab pretty much poured straight on the ground. Your water line is going to come from your meter underground and go underneath that slab and up into that house. You don't have to worry about what's under that slab. It's going to stay about 60 to 65 degrees all year round. The dirt and the concrete on top of it is going to insulate it. So if you can come in under that slab, hit an interior wall that's going to be in the heated space, you're pretty much good on insulation. The only thing is, you got your spigots, your hose bibs, your seal cocks, whatever you want to call them. Those are going to have to be on your exterior walls. So you will have to insulate when you get over to that exterior wall. There's not really any way around it. They do have frost-proof hose bibs, and if you can kind of come off of an interior wall straight to that hose bib, yeah, you won't have to insulate either, but that can be a little complicated. The other thing is, if you're a crawl space, where you come up under that foundation and you go to the bottom of that crawl space, you're gonna have to insulate that first little piece that comes out of the dirt that goes up to the crawl space. Now, if you stay, like we used to do conventionally, you stay down on the bottom of these floor joists, you're gonna have to insulate that. If you're running all your water lines in your crawl space, that's a lot of insulation. This stuff can get kind of expensive. So, trick we figured out, go up in between those joists, stay up high. Now, don't hammer it to the subfloor. Stay about an inch or two down from that, because later on you might have a floor squeak and somebody tries to drive one of those great big old screws through it, they're gonna hit your water line and you've got a mess. But if you keep it up on these joists, they're gonna insulate under that crawl space with this pink stuff. Good old wall bat insulation. And as long as your pipes are tucked up underneath that, you're not gonna have to come back and insulate it with this black stuff. Same goes for an attic. If you stay down on top of those rafters as low as you can could even run it on the side of it, stay down, because they're gonna blow that attic with insulation. As long as you're underneath that blown insulation, you're insulated. You're not gonna have to worry about it. But that's just a couple of things to remember. I would always say stay out of the crawl space, stay out of the attic, and stay out of those exterior walls as much as you possibly can. You don't want to be running a whole bunch of insulation, because like I said, this stuff starts to get expensive as you're going along, and if you're working on a contract or something like that, it's probably not in the bid. Now, a lot of times you just can't stay in that heated space and you're gonna have to insulate. We use this black foam insulation. This is the self-adhesive kind. It's got these little clear strips on here with some glue underneath it, and you can rip those off on both sides and it'll stick to itself, which is pretty neat. Now, when installing this stuff, you are gonna need a little razor knife to make you nice, clean little 45 cuts. And you are gonna need some duct tape. We like to use the black because it's black and it goes together. Why are we taping this stuff? Because that self-adhesive stuff loves to bust apart on the ends and where you've made the cuts. It's not gonna last forever, but if you tape it, this stuff's pretty much not gonna be in the weather. It's gonna stay just like that most of the time. Now, this is 7/8. This is what we stock. This stuff comes in a bunch of different sizes, but we don't stock a whole lot of different sizes. It's just, it's hard to keep up with. It's better if you just say, here's 7/8. You can use this on your 3/4 pipe. You can use this on your 1/2 inch pipe, because the 1/2 inch will go in there too. And we're buying one kind of insulation instead of stocking a whole bunch of different ones. Now, we do also have some of the big stuff. Now, this is 2 1/8. It's also the self-adhesive. The reason why we carry this stuff is some of the trim guys, they love to cut these little, they look really neat, these little boots that go around here, and they're really good at it. We didn't do that back when I was installing them, but they've got it down to a science. But we use this for our P-traps. Now, you might not think much about your P-trap, but they're under there in this crawl space. I've got a couple, and they're full of water. And it can get to freezing temperatures in that crawl space, and you can freeze and bust one of those P-traps. Now, it's not that big of a deal. It's not gonna cause a whole bunch of damage to your house, but now you've got a leak in your crawl space and you've got moisture in your crawl space, and it might go on and on and on for years and years and years, and you never know it because it's just a crack on a PVC P-trap. Well, I hope that was informative. Just remember, protect your pipes from freezing. You don't want anything to bust or break, and of course, you don't want just a solid block of ice in your polyethylene tubing, preventing your homeowners from getting water when they wake up early in the morning. You don't want those phone calls. You don't want anybody to ever call you in plumbing. If you're doing your job, if your phone doesn't ring from the homeowners, now you want your builders to call you. But thanks a lot, guys, and good luck out there.